Alright guys, so we got the new commander skills up, and I got my friends Monty and Rabbit with us. So I thought we go over them. How's that sound to you guys?
Excellent.
Pretty cool.
So I'll go for the first line, I'll go across, and then we'll put our 2 cents in. Alright, the first one we have priority target. That's a new one for us. It's after the skill's mastered, the situation awareness detected. We still had that from the previous one. Indicator will show the number of your opponents in the enemy team that are currently aiming at your ship with main battery guns. I thought that's kind of cool.
That's going to be so helpful for BBs.
Exactly. So or even a cruiser.
Even a cruiser, yeah.
Yeah, because if you're a cruiser and you get detected, like the British, you can at least know who's aiming at you in certain aspects.
Yep.
Preventative maintenance is the next one's back. But it's different now. It's a negative 30% risk of incapacitation of modules.
And it used to be negative 50. But it's a tier 1 skill instead of it being a tier 5.
It's only -3 though.
No, it's negative 30 instead of
30,
negative
okay.
50 anymore.
Yeah, they debuffed it a bit. Makes sense
but
for
I mean,
how many
it's
only
tier
one
now,
tier,
so you really can't complain.
Yeah, so it's 1 point for that. Next is expert load is back, so it's the same as before, 50% reload time. Yeah, that makes sense. Again, good for cruisers.
Very good for cruisers.
Aircraft servicing experts back again, but it's plus 5% health of carriers for their aircraft, and negative 10% servicing time for carrier-based aircraft. Hey, Emmy, coming to join the discussion?
Yeah, sure.
You were talking about the new commander skills.
Yeah, I know what that is. Yeah.
He don't play Warships.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Aircraft servicing expert is a right now it's a tier 4 commander skill. It's plus 5 HP to your carrier-based aircraft and negative 10% to switching time, and it becomes a tier 1 attacking commander skill, which is huge because that's what aircrafts, they only use that. I mean, obviously they're aircrafts.
Yeah, it's given.
But yeah. But that actually helps the people, like, because like the grind to a 4th commander skill with aircraft carriers is kind of talk. It's like I want to pull my hair out, but now it's easily given with 1 point, and you actually have that. And it's I think a lot. You're going to see a lot more people actually play the aircraft carrier.
Exactly, I totally agree with you. Even Rabbit would agree with that one. It'll make it easier for people who really have difficulty in carriers.
Right.
The next one actually kind of interests me, and somebody actually had a good point about this one. Detection Center for Catapult Aircraft. Basically, you get an extra catapult carrier, so you get 2 planes up in the air.
Yep.
But it reduces the speed of the aircraft by 20%.
Yeah, which is a lot better than what it is.
Absolutely, you have much more coverage. And the speed of the aircraft
imagine putting that on a
much.
Yamato. Having 2 planes, that's going to help you big time.
And yeah, and again, it's a tier 1, so you're looking at something that's huge, especially if you're like he said, like a Yamato or something like that needs that coverage, like the aerial coverage, to see about the DDs, because like big ships, especially for BBs, that's not gonna fly. Like you need to know everything that's around you, and I think
every bit helps. Honestly, it really does.
The catapult fighters are what's gonna save you.
Every little inch of help is going to be needed. Again, dogfighting experts back, but it's now 1 point, plus 10% to ammunition and average damage per second.
And dogfighting expert was a 3 point, and it was plus 10 to average damage per second of fighters for each tier difference between them.
Yeah,
that is going to be huge now, again, because it's only a 1 point.
Yeah, they're buffing the hell out of the carrier, which kind of needed. Even though we're gonna hate it, we're gonna hate it because we're not carrier guys. None of us are.
Yep.
Again, incoming fire alert, but now it's 1 point.
Right.
So that'll make it easier for certain people. I don't need it. I can kind of tell.
If you're paying attention, you don't need it at all.
Yeah,
really.
I don't have it on my Byron or my Yamato, but it is good for. I use it for the cruiser. For any type of cruiser, just so I can know if if anything's coming at me.
The last one here kind of confused me, but after discussing with somebody, it kind of made me go, It's evasive maneuver, negative 40% to detectability of strike aircraft when returning to carrier, 15% HP of strike aircraft when returning to carrier, negative 30% speed, airspeed of strike aircraft when returning to carrier.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody told me that kind of is a good and a bad thing. Bad for the higher tier ones because their planes are going so fast, so it's like negatable.
Mm-hmm.
And the lower tiers, I could see it, but most bit, it's probably not going to be used too much.
Yeah, I think that's kind of like they just needed like something to fill the versatility for
Yeah.
first tier.
It just
I think they
doesn't.
just made something up.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem right.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course they put Hyler again on the second line again, and it's negative 10% reload time to damage control parties.
Yeah, they that's a new one though, isn't it?
No, they had Hyler before.
The second tier.
It's still in the second tier, but it's just before it was just in a different location. Now it's on the second tier on Endurance.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting one. Jack of all trades is no longer a 5, it's a 2. That's the next one. Jack of all trades is now instead of 30% buff, I think it is?
It's 15, negative 15.
Okay, now it's 5.
See, again, that could be something that is...
For cruisers, maybe.
For cruisers, I mean, the good thing it's only a 2-point skill because not a lot of people use it as a 5.
No, they don't.
No, actually, I don't think anyone uses it as a 5.
No, I never heard anybody use it as a 5. They're using, like, Concealment Expert.
Yeah.
Again, Expert Marksman's back on the second line again. You know, turn your guns faster.
Yep.
That's a given. Torpedo acceleration is now at 2.
No, it was a 3, and it's plus 5 knots to torpedo speed, but negative 20% for the torpedo range.
Yes.
And what is it now?
5 for speed, 20 for range.
So they kept it the same, they just moved it down a tier.
Yeah.
Okay.
The next one actually had me excited. Originally, I thought it's Smoke Screen Expert.
It increases the radius?
Yes, that's all it does, by 20%. I thought it was duration,
that's kind of huge.
But that's going to help out with the British ones again.
Yeah, but is it really worth the points?
For the British guys?
For 2 points, maybe.
The British,
I don't know.
I would say the British need it because the puff, they only got 2 puffs of smoke. And you have to slow down really quick. So any bit of...
But the thing is, I don't think they're going to use... The British are going to use this because you say they have 2 puffs of smoke, but it doesn't give them duration, it gives them range, which in the end is still going to be the same time.
But you can get into the smoke and, you know, you don't have to slow down so much.
True, I guess, the point comes down to is where else could those points be spent? You know, the extra 20% is not a hugely big circle. Yeah. So what are you really gaining out of it versus where else could those points be spent?
Right.
Yeah, we'll see.
And I don't think the British would probably use that. I think that's more for like the Japanese or like the American DDs. That's going to be huge.
The DDs across the boards.
Yeah, that's going to be huge.
Yeah. Rear gun experts a second. That's the next one. 10% average damage to its rear gunners. So they get to defend themselves a little better. Again, carrier perk. Definitely needed again. Next is Adrenaline Rush. This one I was talking to a friend of mine and we were terrified with. Now everybody here is terrified about the German battleship secondaries. Get this, okay? Increase the reload speed of all armaments as the HP of your ship is reduced. All armaments. I didn't say just primaries. I'm saying secondaries and torpedoes.
So
it's 0.1% of reload time is increased to all armaments for each 1% lost.
So by the time you're dead, it's a total of 10, right?
Yeah, but if you're having a German battleship with those secondaries flying, and let's say you get half your health taken out.
GG.
you're screwed.
He might kill you before you even kill him.
It's just the secondaries will be flying so freaking fast on that thing. It's going to be terrifying people. Even destroyers will be keeping a very far distance from him.
Yeah, which you really can't with the Bismarck, because I think like the AAs are like what, 8 kilometers or something.
Yeah, but when you put melee secondary and chain that with adrenaline rush, oh good god.
Yeah,
I'm
like
just
fireworks.
it's still there.
This is why I'm concerned it's going to be really OPing the German line, but we'll see what happens. Last Stand, that's a given one. You guys know what that one is. It's the same, but it's 2 points again. Fire Progression, they buffed it up.
They bumped it. One tier 2 is tier 2 right now.
Yeah, but they buffed it.
What is it, from -7%
It's
risk of fire?
risk of fire, but here's the kicker. The maximum number of fire sources on a ship is reduced to 3.
Okay, so you can't. So it's the same percentage, but it's only 3 of 5, or yeah, whatever. If you're in a BB, it's 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's gonna be
That'll help.
Yamato.
Yeah, that's the one I'm gonna get in.
Yamato.
Yeah.
Basic survivability, it's 3 points now. Negative 15% time of repair, fire extinguishing, and flood recovery.
Okay, so they basically didn't change anything, but they bumped it 2 tiers because it's a tier 1 right now.
Like I said, I don't know.
I don't know why they would do that.
Rabbit, I think, wouldn't even want to touch that.
Yeah, it's the thing. It's a great skillful one, but is it really worth 3 points?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Borderline call. Yeah, I mean, over time it adds up, but it's not a game changer one way or the other. It just adds up.
Most people just use their repairs because they know wisely.
If I'm not mistaken, they have advanced fire training for tier 3 now instead of tier 4, and I think I would rather have that than the basics of survivability.
You're close, buddy, but we'll get to it.
Yeah.
Torpedo armament expertise is now a 3-pointer.
Yeah.
Again, this will be good for carriers and destroyers.
Yep.
10% reload and 20% for torpedo bombers.
Yep, and that's what it is. They just bumped it up.
Now,
a tier?
it's 3 points.
Now it's 2.
It was 2
Like
now.
2 now. Yeah.
Now it's 3.
They bumped it.
Yeah.
Alright.
Next one's emergency takeoff. Basically, if the carrier's on fire, it can still launch planes.
Well, see, and that's gonna change. That's gonna change the game like now, because you're trying right now, like as in this current meta, you're trying to burn it so they can't launch planes or land planes.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Now it's gonna be like, okay, let's kill the carrier, and regardless if it's on fire or not, we're just gonna like try to citadel it as many times as we possibly can.
Quickly get it out of their game.
Yeah.
But the carriers needed that for sure. It was just one of those things that just, I guess, had to go in. Even though we hate it, it's got to happen.
Yep.
Basic
I
fire
think it's
trains.
gonna, again, it's gonna change the way CVs are played.
Exactly, and I think it's going to help people who really don't like playing CVs or inexperienced. It's just going to be a whole new spectrum.
Yep.
I think they're trying to push carriers to get
CVs.
back in the game. I think they're trying to push it.
Yep.
And
I
again,
agree.
basic fire training is back, but now it's a 3-pointer.
Which is a 4 now.
That's basic? Wasn't it
It's
a 1?
huge. Oh, basic fire training? Yes, it is a 1.
Now it's a 3.
Yeah, now it's a 3, but you have manual AA and advanced fire training as 4. So, yeah, that's kind of good, because I think I would rather have.
What's the skills on basic fire training now? Do you guys have that up?
Yeah, hold on. Basic firing training now is 10% to low time main batteries up to 139 millimeter, and 10% average damage of AAA.
Okay, I have it's now negative 10% to reload time main batteries up to 139,
Right.
including secondaries, and plus 20% to average damage of AA guns.
Plus
Right.
20 to average AA?
Yeah,
That's
20.
20%.
That's
20
up
plus
there.
20. No, it's advanced fire training or
Basic
basic.
firing.
Right.
But it's now a 3 skill instead of a 1.
It's bumped by 10%.
Yes.
That's it.
Yep.
Well, it's bumped by 100%. It goes from 10 to 20.
Yeah, I guess.
Exactly.
Damage wise.
Yeah, so you get a pretty big buff to your AAA, and then the same on the other one, but it's costing you 3 perks to get it instead of 1.
Yeah,
Right.
we'll go through that one when we get there. Next, Superintendent. Again, same as before.
thing.
An additional consumable.
Mm-hmm.
Demolition Expert. They debuffed it.
What is
Flat
it?
out. It's now only 2% increasement of chance of fire.
It's 3% here, and it's instead of it being a four tier, it's a 3 tier. Well, it's 4 tier now, but then in an update, it's gonna be 3.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's
It's
not
an
bad.
even deal.
1 point
No, I don't
difference.
think so.
I think that everybody could still grab it.
I think that's gonna.
Well, everyone complain about fire so often.
Well,
I
I mean,
guess.
the Japanese cruiser, regardless, are gonna be set on fire, so it really doesn't
Russians
matter.
too.
Russian, yeah,
Russian has some very good high explosive shells.
right.
Vigilance again, 25% acquisition of torpedo range. It's a 3-point again.
That's gonna be.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're gonna bump the tier the commander points up to 19 instead of 18.
It is. It's 19 points. I actually looked it up. If
Oh,
you go,
And it's a new way they do it too. Like it's
Yeah.
not like a million points
yeah,
for the
you
last one.
can you can also might as well speak about it now, Rabbit. You can use ship experience and increase the amount of skill points your commander has.
Yeah.
So you
cool.
can get your commander up to 19 just using ship experience.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
Is that the same like World of Tanks where once it's elite, you then get trained up your captain?
It's accelerated training, so basically whatever experience you have from your ship, I'm
like
guessing.
you can still use like the balloons, the free XP. Now you could use free XP, but
I think it's.
you
Oh
can
wait,
use
it's free XP. My mistake.
Mhm.
It's free experience, and you use the free experience to buff up your commander.
Mhm.
Okay, so you can't use ship experience to buff the commander.
No, it's
No.
it's my mistake. It's free experience.
Well, those poor people saving up for Missouri.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I
you need
I
like
have
900 and you need 900 and
I have it. I had the
You need-
Missouri.
you need like 986,000 free XP to get one commander up to 19.
Exactly. It's
So,
it's just gonna be insane.
yeah.
Alright, so we're on the 4th and final line. This is where we're gonna have some fun, I'm guessing.
Okay.
Manual fire is now 4 points.
It's out of 5.
Yes, 15-point maximum dispersion to guns of tier 1 to 4, 1 to 6.
6.
1 to 6. So 15% reduction, and now it's 60% maximum dispersion.
Yep. Same thing.
Uh,
They just
for-
bumped it down
Yeah.
from 7 to 10.
Yep.
Yeah, so basically it's the same thing, but it's one less point.
Exactly. Survivability expert. It's the same 400 HP per ship's tier.
I think they just moved that down to the 4th tier, and because it is, I mean, they kept it the same. They just kept it in the same tier because they didn't really have anything to put there for endurance wise.
Yeah, I'm guessing so. I mean, it's good for certain destroyers.
Mm-hmm.
If you like to stay in the fight longer, I used to do it for my kamikaze.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
It just helped me in a pinch because I always played too much like a brawler.
Mm-hmm.
This one, the next one, this is interesting. See if you guys think about this. Inertia fuse for HE shells. Increase armor penetration by 25% of HE shells. But 6% reduction of chance of fire.
See, again, that's what I think people in cruisers are going to use to kill DDs faster.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
they
that
do-
works against you on other cruisers and battleships.
Well,
Like
other cruisers,
Miyoko,
right?
yeah, Miyoko's got a really good chance of fire.
Yeah, other cruisers, I would be used like if I was in like my Otago, I would put that only for the fact that because other cruisers, I would be using AP instead of HE.
Yeah, I can see that.
But I mean, if you go up against a BB like in an Otago, say, and you have that, good luck. Like I mean, well, if they drop it, because I have demo expert on my Otago and it's 20%. If they drop it, I guess 14% isn't that bad. It would just
I
be
mean,
like
if you have demolition expert and that
Yeah.
means you only lose 4% chance of fire.
right. So it's still going to be like even better than the Kutuzov, which the Kutuzov though has a lot less fire. Like its reload time is a lot less.
Yeah, in
So
certain
what if you use it in your battleship?
I mean, doesn't certain... let me check something. Like, let me check my Miyoko.
Does that work for secondaries? Because if it worked for secondaries,
Chance of fire is 17%, so let's say we added the 2. That's now 19. Reduce it by 4. We're down
15.
to 15% chance of fire. That's still pretty good.
It is, but does that work with secondaries too? Because the Bismarck with that, dude, it shoots HE out of the secondary. Does that apply to those
both
too?
mate, S, and secondaries.
Oh, I'm definitely getting for that for my Bismarck. Dude, it will penetrate even with HE. That is going to be insane.
Well, also, what happens if you shoot a cruiser with HE now?
So
Because now you're likely to pen.
All right, let's do the math here real quick while we're talking. How about this? We'll talk about that in a second, and then we'll go back to that. We'll finish up the rest of the skills here. We have air supremacy, so you add a fighter and a bomber.
Yep.
Advanced fire training.
Helpful for CV.
Again, yeah.
Yeah, it's a buff because it's one less point for it.
Oh, that's been around since beginning.
But it's one less point for it, right?
I think it is.
Yeah, because it's 5 now before then, so you save a point.
Yeah, makes sense. Advanced fire training is now 4 points.
And
same as again. Yeah, plus 20% range for guns up to 139.
Mm-hmm.
And plus 20 to AA firing range.
Mm-hmm.
So, yippee.
Yeah, I know.
Manual control AA is now 4 points. Again.
Mm-hmm.
There's a new one. This is a new one for you guys. Radio position finding.
Manual control points is actually manual control fire control for secondary armament.
Yeah,
is actually a five tier point.
It is.
Commander skill. Yeah.
Now it's a 4.
Good.
Yeah, it's a buff.
It's a buff. Well, I mean, what is the percentages? From
100% average damage per second of AA guns with a caliber above 85 millimeters against priority target.
So same thing. Yeah.
Yep.
So next is radio position finding. Shows the detection to the nearest enemy ship. The enemy player will be alerted with a bearing taken of their ship. This skill will not work if the player is playing with an aircraft carrier.
Okay, that makes sense.
Good with DDs, I think.
Yep.
It's a big buff for battleships if you think about it.
Know where the destroyers are hiding.
Well, that's the thing is now you can't get a good ambush around an island anymore if they have that skill.
No, they can't.
And also, what if you're in a typhoon? Because the view range issue too. So now you get an advanced warning to get your guns on bearing for when he does appear.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Again, this is going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, it sure is.
It's going to help. It's going to help and hurt destroyers at the same time.
Well, I don't mind killing some destroyers, so.
Yeah, but if your destroyer is, how much is that an issue for the destroyer unless you're in a typhoon, right? The view range is not an issue for a destroyer.
Yeah, that's right.
With the exception of smoke, but that's not helping you target.
No, it's not.
So the other thing, I guess, you look at that too is whether how much is it going to get used. How many other options do you have it for? The skill points versus that. So I think if you're a particularly skilled player, it's certainly a nice thing to have, though not as important if you kind of suck. You know, you just have low situational awareness.
Yep.
Exactly. And then the last one's Concealment Expert. Again, it's the same as before.
10, 12, 14, 16?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, but they did buff it as in it's one less tier, one less.
Yeah, correct.
Less point, yeah.
Thankfully, because that is great on BBs, especially the Yamato.
Izumo is a bad one too. It's got the highest detectability of all battleships.
I think that's what I'm going to be working for. On.
Yeah.
There's never anything wrong with disappearing faster.
Yeah,
exactly. Now back to that HE we were talking about for a second.
What for the ones?
The initial felt HE. We were talking about how it can fucking overpower even in a Bismarck. Imagine combining that with Adrenaline Rush.
Where it does double the lower your life is and the faster they shoot.
It's not double. It says 10% max. So if you're 50% health, you're only getting an increased rate of 5%.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's a difference. but it's not going to be the end of the world. It's certainly nice to have.
Every little pinch helps, I think.
I think that's gonna make it a lot more scary than it actually is right now, because we're not used to seeing, we're used to like seeing the Bismarck shoot its secondaries now, but when that happens, you're gonna see the Bismarck secondary shoot a lot faster.
Out of curiosity, let me see if I actually can do that.
It's not that big though. It's only 5% at 50. Right, so you're down to 50% health. You now get a 5% rate of fire buff to your secondaries for all your guns, right?
Right.
But that's call it the main gun. Say you have a 30-second reload. That's only what, a second and a half reload buff at 50%.
Mm-hmm.
So it's noticeable, but it's incremental.
You could do it easily too, because let's say I have a Fuso, okay? I have my Fuso in open beta, and let's say I want to design it perfectly for that build with adrenaline, okay? You can easily do it with priority target, because that'll help you if you got any guns at you. You can then do expert marksman to rotate the guns faster, throw an adrenaline rush. You can put vigilance on the ship, basic fire training, that's another 3 points. You're now got 4 more points. You're pretty much maxed there, but another 4 points with the inertia shell, and then 4 more points for advanced fire training, which you can easily do. It's possible with a 19-point commander.
Right.
So you're gonna have a really overbuff character. It's gonna be really deadly.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm seeing a lot of Bismarck play and a lot of CV play. This next update.
Exactly, and the carriers are gonna have a massive buff that's gonna help them out. A lot of people don't like playing carriers because it's just too difficult. Some of this is gonna make it a lot easier to play.
Think so. We'll see a lot of CV players.
And which means we're going to be having to get back onto the AA defense again.
Huh.
Bring out the air cleaners.
Yeah, seriously.
Cleveland, come back.
Iowa.
Iowa. North Carolina has got some good
North
AA
Carolina.
too. Jesus.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
So, I think this is I think the update for the commander skills is a lot better than what it is now, because these like MK said, these commander skills are terrible.
I know. Exactly.
Well, it's nice to have more variety, and the more they tune it in, the better for everybody.
Yeah,
I'll tell you, my kingdom for being able to put the elite ship experience towards the training of the commander. Then it'd make more sense. I mean, how many ships do you have that you got them, but just like, what's my real incentive to run this ship? There's nothing to advance it on. I can't train the commander or something else.
Exactly.
That part always frustrated me. So like, it just kind of doesn't give someone a reason to keep a ship around so much more than they just happen to like it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, now you got all the experience, free experience you can use to buff up your commanders too.
Yeah, that's free experience.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you, like my Kamikaze. I mean, I like running that ship because it's just amusing, and I have 753,000 experience sitting in the ship right now.
Yeah, I know. I got I think 600,000.
Jeez.
It's fun. You know how to play a ship like that, and when you know how to play a ship like that against people who don't know what it can do, you're going to wreck people.
It's brutal, but the gameplay on it's almost unique in a sense. It's a knife fighter. You just follow people around and just stab the hell out of them.
Yeah, the Fujin does the same thing too. It's just
it's the same ship, yeah.
It's a little faster. Yeah. If the carrier's on fire, it could still launch its planes.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't like it because, okay, the burn 3 points and something, but the point is it takes away some of the strategy of the game. Just like the rate of direction find, it takes away some of the strategy of the game. It's less and less skill-based when you do these things.
Exactly. But, I think people who played carriers, that was the thing that they just hated. Once they were on fire, they were out of the game instantly.
Right, but if you're a carrier and you're on fire, you screwed up in the first place, or it's already over.
That's the point of making it where if they turn on fire, that throws them out of the game. It's their, like Rabbit just said, it's their fault if they get on fire because they're obviously, number one, too close, or they got bombed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the point of the game, and like he's right when he says it's taking the skill away from the game, because you're going to have good players that are really, really good now with carriers, then they're not going to be that good when that comes out because of People are just
So
used to seeing the shit.
yeah, at some point you're going to lose some of the good players, and for what? So you have more potatoes playing at higher levels and stuff like that, or outside their skill set. Is that necessarily a good thing for the game? It's kind of
I
a tough
agree.
call on that.
Yeah,
I
I
agree.
can agree with that. Yeah. And then we were talking about
Is this now or in the future?
this is coming up very soon. When they bring it in the public test server, guys, usually it's within a week and a half.
Mm-hmm.
That's how
Yeah.
quick.
The big question mark on an HE thing, you're giving up fire chance. I mean, honestly, it may be the
6%.
biggest. Well, it may be a pretty big buff to battleships above anybody else, and the reason why is they don't seem to publish those numbers. I'm looking at the Bismarck, for example, right now.
Okay.
But the HE pen on that may be pretty good, and if you buff it by 30%, now you're gonna be penning a lot of people with HE. So then you're only shooting the AP rounds. You may get critical hits, a lot more critical hits. With Citadel hits with HE. And so think about that. As a battleship, that's an opportunity to really obliterate cruisers even better than shooting them with AP rounds.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's gonna be interesting for sure. I could probably later on test that theory.
Right. You need to test it out to know this is actually a buff that's worth having.
Yeah, I mean,
And it's going to be dependent upon the class of ship. Like I said, I think the battleships might benefit the most from that buff.
I put
Just only for the reason because of battleships never use HE, regardless. You never use HE.
I mean,
Well, you tend to not. I mean, if you know you're going to go after a destroyer, for example,
Right.
because you're pretty much guaranteed to pen them there.
I
But-
I'm
mean,
looking at here's the HE on the Bismarck. You got a 34% chance of setting a fire already. So if you
Right.
lose 6% of 34, it's not a big deal,
No.
right? But losing 6% of 10 is a huge deal.
Yes.
And so it's it's more of a buff to big HE shells than it is to small ones because
Right.
of the percent.
Right.
And so it's not percent of what it is, it's percent straight up percent. So 34 gets dropped by 6. What if you got a shell that only has a 6% chance of fire, now it goes to 0? Is that how that
Right.
works?
exactly.
That's not a buff. That's a huge. The fire does more damage than the HE does.
And it does is like it says chance of fire on target caused by HE shell. Does it mean per shell is 35% or per salvo is 35%?
Per shell. Yeah, every shell gets a roll for that. But the point of also there's 2 points to be made. So the higher your chances overall, the less of a debuff that is, or a loss that is. But also, like I said, the HE shells, I believe, on the bigger guns have a much higher pen than the low ones, the low caliber ones do. So now you're getting full pen HE shells on the side of the cruisers and stuff like that. That's going to be a lot worse than you get. I get Citadels with HE shells and cruisers once in a while. Imagine that happening on a regular basis.
Yeah, it's gonna be huge.
Right?
British
Yeah, you're
cruisers
gonna
crying.
delete somebody in short order.
And British cruisers are gonna be crying about that because
They have no buff. Yeah, no option.
the armor's so thin. It's paper
Right.
mache.
That's what I'm saying. I think this is more of a buff to battleships than it is anything else because of those two factors.
I mean, cruisers too, in certain aspects.
Well, it's a big gun cruiser, yeah.
Yeah, like a Tago or
Mogami or something.
Megami. I haven't got to Megami yet, but I'm working on it.
Well, it's the bigger guns. So again, the question is how much is HE pen and how much of a difference. I mean, you really need to go into training arenas and just run a battery or test.
Oh yeah,
It may be pretty remarkable. It may not be that much.
Yeah, I'll run a few rounds later on, but that'll be like maybe tomorrow I'll do it.
Yeah, because the the maximum HE shell damage is 3,300 on the Atago. Chance of fire is 20% of that, but like the reload time is what kills everyone because it's 16 seconds, but they're 203 millimeter guns instead of the Kutuzov's 30 or 148 millimeter guns. So
It's gonna be just terrifying.
the Atago is gonna be good, dude.
It's the
Mogami's
Togmouth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
You're
they
saying
had
it wrong.
they had a buff in here in the game. Here, I'll tell you what the commander skill is. It's a 4-point commander skill, and it gives you 25% armor penetration capacity on shells for HE. So and secondaries as well. So all HE rounds are going to have 25% increasement of penetration.
And that goes for what?
All shells, secondary and primary.
I mean, which ships?
Well,
Even-
any
it's
It
commander
goes with a
skill.
captain skill, so whatever
Yeah, it's a
ship
captain
he's in.
skill. But here's the thing. Kyle.
So what would that be useful for?
How about the Bismarck that uses HE for a second?
Okay, I don't play BBs.
Right, but that's the point.
Does it work on a cruiser or a destroyer?
Any ship.
Any ship.
And
In
overpenning
main
is
shells.
good?
No, penning, dude. Penning with HE is that's what it is. It's basically an HE hybrid. You get the penetration with the HE, but you lose a little bit of the fire chance.
You lose 6% of.
But you
chance of
get
fire.
more. You
But you
get
get more
more
penetration.
Citradel.
Yes.
Yes. You get a plus 25% chance of more penetration
Citradel.
power. Yes.
Just say Citradel. I mean, the whole 25% chance of blah 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 blah. Yeah. Who cares? Just tell me Citradel.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's you're losing the fire chance.
Okay, that's all right. Because if I'm playing my Russian ship and I have like my Cooter, then I'm getting plus 25 more HE or AP.
No, it's only HE rounds.
Oh yeah. So okay, so if I'm shooting a cruise or carrier
Anything. It doesn't matter. Anything.
from my from my what's the Russian destroyer?
Cute. God.
There's
Ognivoy.
The
Ognivoy?
top T10.
Moskva.
The Moskva. That's a cruiser.
Moskva's no, I said destroyer.
Destroyer.
Kavaros.
It's Kavarovsky.
Cabby, yeah. Oh, that would be delicious on that one.
Yeah. Well, think about it. These cruisers, like, how about your Kutuzov shooting at a destroyer and penning it with HE?
Oh, you're making me want to play some Warships right now.
I'm just
Okay.
saying, this is the new commander skills that we got. Also, all free experience now can use to train your commander.
Yeah, but that kind of like defeats the purpose of like the commander grind. Because if
Yeah.
I'm running dragon flags, if I'm running the dragon flag plus the Zulu hotel, that you know I can just go crazy
Exactly.
with I could probably get a tier 19 commander probably in like a month's time if you just like hammer away at it every single day.
But I think we went through everything. I mean, like I said, it's going to be interesting for sure across the boards. We'll
Like I
have to
said, huge buffs to battleships and CVs.
yes.
It seems to be the common core, yeah.
Yeah.
It seems
mean-
to be what they're striving for is to get the CVs more involved because you don't really ever see CVs playing
think-
on higher tiers.
I think the last time I played with a CV in like tier even 7 was every 6 or 7 games, if
Right.
that.
That's terrible.
That's a bad amount,
hmm
and
It's
that's
pretty
usually
bad.
like a ranger or something like that. And also on top of that too, when you get a CV, sometimes let's say I play let's say I went through a tier 7 match.
Mhm.
I can get like a tier 6 carrier in the game. Now, usually that's not too bad, but if you got a really buff commander with advanced fire training in your tier 7 ship,
Mm.
you're gonna rip their planes like left and right. Like it's nothing, like Swiss cheese. And that's
Yeah,
why
it's-
people don't play carriers, because it's just...
More at the mid 2/3 tier, you know, like tier 7, 6, 7, 8 carriers are the ones that are most weak. The problem thing with the higher tiers is you have a lot of torp bombers, for example. Put a big crosshatch in front of a battleship. What's he going to do besides eat about 5 torps?
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
it's the 6 or 8 who really get screwed the most, because you're in tier 8 carrier and now you get in a tier 10 battle, your planes just get shredded.
Yeah, like Des Moines got like OP anti-air, or...
Right. But the risk is now what happens when you're tier 10 carriers, now they're just going to dominate tier 10 battles, and is that good for anything? You see what I'm saying? The buffs are kind of needed in some areas, but maybe not others.
Yeah, exactly. It's gonna be interesting. Definitely, the more we talk about this, the more I say I definitely gonna play a few gameplays tomorrow.
hmm
Yeah, you gotta
I'll
try
talk
some of this
about
stuff out because there are some different circumstances where it's overpowered, and other circumstances
Yeah.
where it's not.
I'll pick some ships. You tell me what commander skills you want me to shoot out at, and
I want to
we'll
try
go from
AT on
there.
that battleship because I got a feeling I can do some serious pain to cruisers.
Exactly. I think I'll do that tomorrow and stuff like that. I mean, but like I said, this will be an interesting thing for sure. So there you go, guys. I know this video was so long, and if you guys got to this point, I applaud you, because this video was way too long even for me. But we were just talking about every little detail and our thoughts on it, and definitely, guys, get your hands on the public tester if you can. Very soon I'll be bringing up the videos of me gameplaying this. So until then, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hit that like button if you liked it. Write in your comments your thoughts on the new patch. I want to hear what you guys think about it. Until then, take care.